So holiday started, so less time for me in the market. However, there was a really nice setup on ES this morning. So the bigger time frame, 4 hour. Let's see what we have here. We have higher time frame fair value gap, which is still holding, no closes. Maybe this one was closed inside, so we have a higher time frame gap. We have a higher time frame key level, sell side liquidity. This was already taken due to all the divergences before. So this one was taken already. This one is not really, yeah, those divergences are crazy. And it creates an SMT. Not so much, yeah, okay, there is an SMT here, so that's really good. And that ticks all the boxes. So if I look at the setup, I have a H4 sweep of a key level, higher time frame fair value gap, which means at least 15 minutes, but preferably 4 hours. 1 hour is also okay, and an SMT on the higher time frame. I also find confluence in the daily 50% level, which was not really formed here, because that's mostly applicable in the US session, which is not happening at the current time. And I'm also looking at whether or not did price reach a 50% level of the move, which is not applicable to this entire move. Okay, so that's that. And because this all takes place on the 4 hour, I go to the 15 minute first. So we had this enormous new weekly open gap. And what do I see more? I'll just switch off this one because that's just a lot of clutter. So we had this enormous gap. We created a low, so this low was already taken for NQ. We bounced and then we ranged. So I look at the Asia session. What did Asia session give? A lot of chop and a low. And the moment Tokyo closes, then there is this small gap where in between Asia and London. And what happened? Right after London open, price dropped. It took out Asia low, which is already an interesting level to begin with, but because price was not too far, since ES was, or at least the Asia low was printed not before London open, this itself is not too strong, but it takes out this high level and takes out that 4 hour sell side. So what happens? It creates a 50-minute gap in that move, that initial move down. It tries to, at least it rebalances to the EQ of that last move. It rejects, and then that's the final push down, the manipulation at London open, and then it pushes upwards. And to me, this on a higher time frame looks like a unicorn. This looks like a unicorn setup, but also on the lower time frame it looks like it. So what could be interesting for a setup? That would be a break of that 15 minute, because we have this SMT. So that would mean if the 50-minute breaks above, you open a trade, stop below the gap, and you target the 2R. Actually, seeing this wick, I would just target that wick. That's a 1 point. Let me see. It's a 1 point. Oh, that's actually precisely a 2R. So that would be a perfect setup to take. It does take a longer time to play out. So you could already look on the lower time frame. Let's see, 5 minutes. Yeah, you could already take partials here, which it did not take. But this means is that since the 15 minute takes a long time to set up, you also need to give it time to develop. So from the moment you enter to it takes more than an hour in this situation to get the 2R, but the setup is absolutely valid. For me, it's not the ideal setup. So I would be more interested in looking at a gap in that last move, which is potentially tradable. But then I want to see a gap of maybe 1 point minimum. So this could be an interesting gap here. To see that one being cleared. How many points we're talking about? Precisely 1 point. So I need to check, because this closes inside, opens more or less above, and then this wick. So this does not give the best setup, but you could trade this one as well, but I must say the RR is, I don't know, I think I would go then for this target, which is a 1.6. It's possible, but it's not the cleanest of trades. Because this has just so many gaps, this is not really tradable. But the level is good, by the way. If I see how this one develops, also with this balanced price range, yeah, this is a good level, but maybe the 2 minute has a better setup. I don't know. No, actually it just gets less interesting the more you move up. No. So the 1 minute could be, that's quite aggressive, but the 15 minute would have given the best setup. And what I normally look at, if I get this gap, this 15 minute gap, I pull it to the left, and the moment I see it holds as support, then it's very easy to identify the power of 3, or accumulation, manipulation. I always draw the colors wrong, but don't care. So this is your manipulation, and then distribution comes after. So my assumption is still that we're going to maybe touch this 50-minute gap again, because there's still some significant gaps. I think on the 1 hour we have a balanced price range as well. Yes, yes, yes. So that's interesting to look at in a bit. One gap, and then like this. So we have this balanced price range. So my assumption is that we're going to, maybe it already almost did. So there's the power of 3. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, accumulation, distribution, manipulation, distribution. So my assumption is that we're going to rebalance this and then move higher, because we did not close this gap, the new weekly open gap, and as I see it, this looks to be filled. So if you can find a proper long setup here, and then you can trade it all the way up here, that would be my go-to scenario for the US session, or maybe slightly earlier.